Hey guys, Matt here, UMB. This video here that we're going to do is on CYN on October 14th. Peter jumped in the comments and was requesting another breakdown on it, maybe with a little bit more detail. So here we are, Peter. Thanks so much for getting in the comments. I am happy to do this for anybody that watches any of our recap videos. We are here to help at UMB, so we definitely do not want to skip over any alerts that came out for our premium alert members, and we definitely want to make sure that anybody that's taking the time to watch these alert recap videos has all of the information and tools that they need to understand how that alert came out and how us analysts would have broken it down. So again, this is CYN here, 1 minute chart on October 14th. It was the first alert of the morning. It came out around 7:05 a.m. It was a news alert. You know, news in general, guys, it can be a pretty good catalyst for those of you that aren't aware. That's usually one of the larger catalysts that we get for any particular stock on a day that has a nice run. And so we definitely want to pay attention to those. Every day in our premium alert Telegram group, we get lots of different news catalysts. Some of them go pretty strong. Some of them have a quick move and that's it. Some of them just fall off and never get volume and they never move. Regardless, you have to pay attention to these news alerts when they come out. They are important. You know, we are sending them out to let you know, hey, check out this company, check out this stock. It just dropped this news, you know, get it up on your screens, see if volume's coming in. If it's not coming in right away, just keep an eye on it. Keep checking back on it because it likely will at some point that day. So again, CYN, October 14th. What do we got here, right? So this candle here, let's just kind of mark it out. The 7:05 candle, I believe, is where that alert came through. And let me just get rid of that guy for you there. So the first thing that you're going to want to do here, right? We don't have anything to the right of us when this chart's opened, obviously, right? The alert comes out here. All we have is this initial spike. So the absolute first thing that you're going to want to do, which is what we always talk about, is you're always going to want to try and figure out, hey, is there any, without going back to like daily charts and all that nonsense, which we will cover in a later video, is there any kind of like near-term support and resistance that we can mark? And if we look back on this thing, there really isn't, right? It came out of a complete flat zone. It had news and it popped. So the first thing when we had our news here, we knew that we had just had a high and we just came out of a red long wick hammer candle, right? So what you would do is you would mark this high right here and say, okay, well, that's my first resistance. So what I'm going to want to see is I'll pull back and then probably a break of that resistance, right? The other area that you could potentially mark would be down here as support. And the only reason I say that, there's not really a whole lot to go off of, and there are certainly other ways to find your support and resistance. But the reason why I say this guy might want to be here and be a green line as support is because after our first volume spike and our first initial kind of spike there, it stalled out before we had our nice move up. So we could say, okay, well, that's, potentially a support line. So let's draw that. This thing spikes up. We have our resistance line. That's our new high of the day. You can go ahead and mark these wicks. What I like to do is just kind of mark the body. But you could mark wicks as well. But the body is in my opinion, is a clearer representation of where kind of the true resistance lies. So when you get the alert here, you open this chart, you quickly, whether you have time to mark these lines or not, you quickly know in your head, okay, well, if this thing doesn't get back over this level here, which is like 636, there probably isn't much to trade because it's gonna create resistance. So as it dips down in here, what you want to see is a pullback close to your initial support level that we had marked here, which is what we almost got on that wick there. If I really blow this thing up, you can see it pulled back, and we almost got down to that support level here. It was close. and then this thing reversed. So there's a few ways to kind of read this chart. If we didn't have this support level here, you could have said what you're looking for really is just a pullback for the retracement of this long candle here. Somewhere around 50% wouldn't have been a bad entry to try. You know, you never want to chase green candles in the upward direction, so you always want to get that pullback to somewhere that makes sense, ideally some kind of support line. So as this thing pulled back, I can't remember 5 days ago or what, but I would have for sure been looking for an entry somewhere in this location. We got this last candle. It did dip down to 590. It came back up and it ended in this green hammer, if you can see. That green hammer, purely on candlestick analysis, which we will get into in another video, that hammer at the bottom of a pullback is usually a pretty good sign of a reversal in the other direction. And on the inverse, an upside down hammer at the top of a high is usually a good sign of a pullback in the down direction like we got here, right? So just want to throw that out there for you. So you could have taken a starter position here, and when I say starter, for us that usually means, hey, don't go in and crush this thing with everything you got, which you should never do regardless anyway, but don't take your full position size here because you don't know if it's really going to hang out here or it's just going to fall off, and that was the only kind of jump we were going to see out of this thing today. So take your starter, maybe 50% size. As it comes up here, you could be ready to sell your starter position if it rejects. You know, if you start to see a clear rejection of this resistance line, you would have been ready to bail and sell out of your position. Once we broke and then we came back down, you knew that we had broken that high. We came back down. This candle here, right, what we really wanted to see was a break of the high, a come back down, a test, and then a go, which is what we got. But as you can see, there was a wick below our resistance line here that might have kind of spooked you out a little bit, right? So we really need to see is if this candle had closed below this resistance, that's not a good sign. I definitely would have cut, right? The fact that it closed above, and again in a very small but hammer formation, that's telling me that we're going to go back up. So you're still holding that position from this initial entry. And if you wanted to add to this position, that's where you would have added. Once we got the break and once we had a candle close over the break, you knew that it was going to hold or there was a good chance, you would have added the rest of your position here to take this next ride up. Now, as we got up here, before this pullback there, we don't have any resistance up here yet to go off of, so it would have been difficult to figure out if you should scale here or not. There are some ways and patterns of things like tweezer tops and double tops and again, upside down hammers. There are some things you can look for with candlestick analysis that would have told you like, hey, this is the high right here and you should probably scale out or get out. I wouldn't have seen anything on this chart, just looking at this here that told me that was, going to be the high before our next pullback. But it was, right? So as soon as the next candle opened and we came all the way down here, you may have bailed somewhere in here for that, for that run from down there, right? Like that would have been probably your whole play, or at least my whole play, because I would have been looking at this thinking, well, this thing's coming back down to my support line, which it did, right? Because you look at our next candle, it opened up and it came all the way down, almost touched support, came back up, and then we went back up for another ride. So it was a little bit tricky to play here, but again, through the use of candlestick analysis and also your volume profile, and most importantly, your MACD, right? I think that could have been, an indication as soon as this candle opened on the MACD here, or on the chart. If you look down at my MACD, it had already crossed and was already in the closed position. So that could have definitely been an indication. The other one would be your RSI indicator, which I don't have on here. And if you'd like to see me do a video on the RSI indicator, we can do that as well. But for the most part, this whole move from alert from here to there was a decent move, and you really could have just gotten in with this starter position, added a little bit more here, and really ended up riding this whole thing up to the top of about 739. So a pretty decent move from the alert that came through, 20%, right? So Not bad at all. But I think where most people struggle is like right out of the gate. Like, how do I know if I'm buying if this is good to buy or not, right? And the first thing that you always do, no matter what, is you look at your MACD. Is it open? And again, our MACD settings are smaller. They are 393, as you can see right here. It's a faster moving MACD. It's great for the scalping that we do. The other thing that you could have done was said, like, are we above VWAP? Well, no, we weren't when this alert came out. VWAP is my white line here, like we were just below. So it's like, am I really going to take a position down here below VWAP? We don't necessarily recommend that for beginner traders, only because what we know about VWAP is that, hey, if it's below VWAP, the bears are in control, right? It's on some kind of downtrend. Now, the way that VWAP is calculated, I'm going to break down in a whole nother video, but essentially at very early in the morning when we have nothing but a flatline move here, and then we get this initial jump, it's going to be very easy for price action to be under VWAP or just under VWAP, and it not really hold that much significance, the fact that it's under VWAP, simply because of the way VWAP is calculated. So that may not make a whole lot of sense the way I just described that, but it is the truth, and I will break that down in another video. So right away, again, your alert would have came out. You would have marked this high and said, hey, I'm either looking for a dip down to my support where I'm going to add my starter right here, and then once it breaks my resistance, I'm going to add more. Or you would have said, hey, I'm just going to let this thing fall off, and I'm going to watch it, and when it does break, that's where I'm going to take my position, right? So either of those two plays would have been fine and would have made great for a great scalp here. So I hope that kind of helps. There's not really a whole lot more to break down on this chart. All day after that, it kind of just fell off. We came down to VWAP. It bounced back up. It fell under VWAP here. And then it really fell off. And then I think later in the day, we had some spikes over VWAP. It couldn't hold very well. And then it just kind of fizzled out the rest of the day. So the real play was like right after the news came out. We could have caught this 20-25% move, and that was the real play on the day. So again, just to recap, you open up the chart, you immediately try and find where your support and resistance is. I have yet to make a detailed video on just marking out your support and resistance, but that video is coming. So keep an eye out for it, because that is the first tool that you're going to go to. The support and resistance, potential support and resistance zones, your MACD, and really just watching your volume. There are a couple other tools we use. I don't want to put them on the chart right now or show them because it will just confuse you. But if you are armed with those tools and that knowledge, you should have just about everything you need to make an educated decision on whether or not you're going to get into a trade. Now listen, guys, with that said, the market is the market. It does whatever it wants, and it does not care about you or I at all. So, you could have came in here, marked this high, marked your support, and said, okay, this is great. I know exactly what I'm waiting for. Hey, I want the break here. I'm going to take you got the break. You took your position. It was a perfect setup. You had volume coming in. Your MACD was opening up. It looked great, right? Well, guess what happens? Bam, it slams down all the way back down to baseline at 540, and you lose your whole position. I mean, that kind of stuff happens, guys. We can't control what happens. Remember, all we can do is formulate an edge, look for that setup to occur, execute our edge, and run with our bag when it's green. That's all we can do. So if you don't have an edge, then you're just gambling. So the best thing you could do, again, is take some of these strategies that we are implementing, the breakout strategy, the 5-8 EMA, the 5-8-13 EMA break strategy, the VWAP bouncer reclaim strategy. Take these strategies and arm yourself with them, with just a couple of these indicators that we use, and now you have a true edge that is proven, and it does work, and it can work in multiple scenarios. So that is the video here for CYN, Peter. If you'd like an even more detailed breakdown, or you have questions that I didn't answer here, just let me know. Again, I'm happy to do another video and break it down in another way. I'm happy to use other indicators or answer any other questions you may have. So again, Peter, thank you so much for getting in the comments and asking for this. I am very, very happy to do these videos for anybody that needs them. And with that said, we'll close this out and hope for a good day here tomorrow.